Let's talk about TUS inflation for a minute. It's a hot topic on the official Discord right now, and I'm hearing a bunch of you guys griping about the devs not doing anything about it. So I started thinking about what are they doing, and decided to dive into that 30% TUS reduction for the idle game that took effect today. And I'm going to be referencing the Crabada Tracker app for my data. That's at crabadatracker.app. I'm sure you all know about it by now. All right, so first off, we know that the picture isn't 100% accurate regarding the TUS emissions on the battle game because it's running off chain. The emissions that the Crabada Tracker app records, they're recorded when someone withdraws TUS from the battle game and into their swimmer wallet. So we know there are built-in TUS sinks in the battle game when you consider the food system and the 200 TUS per 5 levels that we have to pay when leveling up our crabs. That being said, I'm not overly concerned with this fact really having a great impact on the conclusions that I'm going to come to. So let's compare the idle games TUS emissions to the battle games. Yesterday, the idle games emissions were at 32.4 million TUS, compared to the battle games 5.3 million TUS. This shows that from what we can tell as far as the data, the idle game is still the main source of TUS emissions by far. I mean, the battle game doesn't even come close yet. We had a solid day's worth of breeding yesterday too, with 31.5 million TUS burned, accounting for like 83% of new TUS emissions. Looking at just this one day's data alone, let's do some simple math. So if the 32.4 million TUS that was minted from the idle game was reduced by 30%, that would have resulted in 22.7 million TUS. We add the idle game TUS to the 5.3 million generated in the battle game, and we're looking at 28 million TUS minted for the day versus 31.5 million TUS burned for breeding. Folks, that put us at 3.5 million TUS worth of deflation for the day if the 30% reduction went into effect yesterday as opposed to today. So after dealing with weeks worth of more than 10 million TUS daily inflation, a steady rate of 3.5 million deflation would be a very healthy pace to correct TUS's price action. Don't expect a moonshot. Okay, so that's the empirical data. Let's look at theoretically what we can expect and compare the idle games and battle games emissions while also considering the 30% reduction. So we know that a mine in the idle game has a TUS emission of 213 TUS. That's now with the 30% reduction. A mine in the battle game has a TUS emission of 306 TUS through the creation of 30 materials, each with an average value of 10.2 TUS. The 10.2 TUS comes from 5 materials being required to craft 51 TUS. That means that each sandwich has a TUS value of 51 TUS too, since a sandwich also costs 5 materials. So if 3 sandwiches can feed 3 crabs for 5 mining trips, we're looking at 51 TUS times 3 crabs divided by 5 battles, which gives us a TUS burn rate of about 30.6 TUS per mining party. If we double this value to account for the food needed to feed the looting party too, we're talking 61.2 TUS burnt in food, leading to an overall emission rate of for battle game mines of 306 minus 61.2, giving us a grand total of 244.8 TUS worth of emissions per battle game. Although this does mean that the battle game is now generating higher emissions than the idle game, we're still generating 58.95 less TUS every time a mine is created and looted in the battle game as opposed to the idle game before the reduction. For me, this is absolutely a step in the right direction. It's measured, it's incentivizing players to be active within a system that has more TUS sinks than the previous system. Remember, the old system we had 1 or 2 TUS burnt per transaction. So that's 1 or 2 TUS for sending a party out, reinforcing it twice. We're talking 6 TUS, and then to resolve it, 8 TUS. Like you're spending less than 10 TUS in emissions, or I'm sorry, in burning TUS for every mining operation that you guys send out with the crabs. So I'm very bullish on this news and believe this will absolutely have a positive effect on Crabada overall. Guys, if you made it this far, this is a brand new channel that I'm trying to build. So every single like and subscribe is going to help get this information in front of others, as well as hopefully build awareness of Crabada and bring more people in. So please do click those buttons if you got value from this video, and share this around your other Crabada circles and get the word out. Thanks.